folks, welcome back to the channel. Happy Catty Crypto here. So it's one of those times, isn't it, really? We've got to sit here and we've kind of got to be honest with ourselves, and we've got to take it for what it is and understand there is kind of a divide between the community of, how these funds should be distributed. And do you know what the really good thing about this is being treated in a decentralized manner. There's so many people that, are willing to sacrifice some of their decentralization to gain streamlined system and stuff like that. And both people who are putting proposals up, and in fact, there's three people because DJ Trev's also got one up now. They're all good ideas. And the one issue is the person who actually can get control of these funds from the previous multi-signature signers. But before we do dive into this, I think there's one thing we should sit and ask ourselves beforehand is, why are they giving this to us? Why are they not actually using this over at Luna? And I think it's something that everybody's overlooking because of the sheer amount of, people that are discussing this, and they're more interested in the fact of who's going to get control of this money and things like that. So now moving over to so if we go to Alex's proposal, I think the issue being is, the centralized manner of things and the way it would go down and stuff like that. And there's so many pros to this, and I did explain this in my video about things being streamlined and stuff like that, but I honestly believe there's a better route to do this and to actually streamline things. Now, we all know the Oracle rewards pool needs funding. We all know that, it's not going to last forever. Its current rate is going to last for another 1.4 years, give or take a little bit. If we get more people staking, that, goes down, the more people that are staked, obviously, because we've got more rewards to distribute out. Now, the whole concept behind this streamlining of things is a great idea, and I totally get it, but the way Terra Classic, and it's always worked since the system before it was Terra Classic, has always worked from the community pool. You take payments from there. And that's kind of what Vegas is getting at, that it should stay in the same manner that it was before. So I honestly believe there is a middle ground here. And I feel like the more I think about it, the more I get it going inside my head, the more it seems more and more viable to have a dev pool. Now, here's an actor. Don't worry about him, because he's completely irrelevant. Now, this is just a very, very basic concept of what the dev pool could be. And the dev pool should be created. It can be created as well. I have looked into this. You can get the governance to chuck out a new pool, and it will be the same as a community pool with a different name. You can get it to chuck yourself out a new type of proposal, being a dev pool spend proposal. Now, as you can see on the right hand side, it should be changeable time lengths. They should be able to go from 7 days down to 2 days, I think is a reasonable amount of time to ensure that emergency funding can be distributed. I also feel this is a secure funding, strictly just for funding the devs, nothing else. This will ensure that the devs feel secure and they've always got funds available. We could even up this to a smart contract system that actually puts a dev onto like a payroll system. We could even utilize now payments, like I was saying in my video earlier today. This dev pool in itself could be an absolute game changer, because the new pool in itself will ensure decentralization of those funds without risking losing our devs nor the community. And you can see here, I've got the community is as important as our devs, and the devs are also just as important. The validators secure the blockchain, and they are also very important. See, if we break one of these, what happens? The circle stops, doesn't it? So what if we break this one over here? But there you go, it's broken again. So we are way more stronger when we're unified, and we'll get down onto the lower bit of this in a minute. But I honestly believe the best way to move forward with these funds right now is to create a separate pool, because I feel like there's underlying issues behind this proposal, not just the proposal itself, and it's strictly dev funding, that the devs need funds. Someone has listened to an interview, heard that Duquan had a load of funds, and has figured out that they could probably get access to them, as to which they've done that. Absolutely great job. My hat's off to them for finding those funds, and the fact that they want to give them to the blockchain. I hope we get an explanation for that, but at the same time, we could really do with those funds. It's just the community is so split, and you can see this on the proposal right now. Last night it was very heavily no at veto. Now today it's all the way down at yes, and I'm watching the community kind of speak back and forth, and it really is kind of, you know, there's this middle ground that needs to be addressed, and we all kind of need to agree on something. And I really don't think it's any good for us to back and forth like this. And us being a validator now and running a validator is it's even more important for us to kind of have a say on these things, because we're validating the blockchain. We're actually putting the time, the effort and everything. We're running the systems and taking the hit to ensure the future of the blockchain itself. And we're going to do a proper video on exactly why validators are so important. And without them, there would be nothing. And the more centralized the voting power is, the harder it's going to be for all of these other nodes to survive in the future. And it is something that does need addressing, and it just doesn't get addressed enough, I think. But for now, this in itself it really is causing, you know, a real kind of like middle split straight down the community. Call it a banana split, whatever you want, but there is a way to move forward. This dev pool could be an absolute game changer, because it could just attract new devs overall. Devs that are working on another blockchain could see we've got a dev pool, they're getting paid monthly, it's all, you know, secure funded, everything's there, everything's done visibly, and they see the transparency from the outside. And that's something that we do need to maintain, because that is a huge attraction of Lunar Classic, is this idea of a coin that, you know, you as an individual in the community can have a say and a sway, and you can vote on things. You can veto, you know, a validator's vote with your own coins if you've got them staked there. That's how decentralized it is. Nobody owns the logo. The whole thing belongs to whoever is using it. So in itself, I'm not going to put a proposal up just yet, because I think Alex might actually be working on something which includes a new pool for the devs. But this really could work for everybody, and like the feedback I have seen on this, people have, you know, seen the same thing I have. It's pretty much a no-brainer at this point. If neither party can agree on one thing, and this is also an issue, right? This is a text proposal, so this can just be superseded by Alex's proposal with a simple, you know, as long as it got a yes, the same as Vegas's did, then it would supersede that. And then we need to find a middle ground to move forward as one, unified, because together we are so much stronger. We're vulnerable when we start moving off into little groups, and that's the truth. We are so much more easier to manipulate and to allow people to get inside our brains and stuff like that allow the negativity to kind of take over. And there's going to be a lot of negative stuff going around at the moment. The Feds have raised interest rates, the Bank of England here have raised interest rates, so it's going to be a little bit up and down, and that's totally normal. And anybody who's new to crypto, you need to get used to this. If you've bought in, you need to understand when you've bought in and when's a good time to buy, when's a good time not to buy, what dollar cost averaging is, why you should do it, and stuff like that. So we really do need to look to the future, because once we get past all of this, right, once we figure out how to get the devs funded, what to do with this $4.16 million, okay, then we can move forward to IBCs. And there's a proposal up for IBCs, and it's getting barely any traction. It must be doing a little bit better now, but I don't think it's even whitelisted. Now, we're so much stronger when we're unified. We've got a USTC AFT repeg plan coming. Tapping into the USTC community is key to our future, because it's like an untapped area. And I've been speaking to many people that, you know, are strictly like USTC people that really did get hurt, and they're like, you know, I'm stuck with my airdrop that I got, and if I sell it now, I'll be at a huge loss. And you know, it's not nice for them. They're kind of left out from everything. So as long, you know, if Alex puts up a proposal and everything, and, you know, I'm pretty sure something like this is going to come along. But if he doesn't, I'm going to have to speak, obviously, with a few different people, have a look at the governance and see how we can get this developers pool put in place strictly for developers funds to go to. I think it's imperative that we have a community pool and a dev pool and their funds to be absolutely completely separate. And then it's easier for us to see who's being paid, who's on the payroll, you know, who's on what, who's getting paid what, where the money's going, what funds. Because as long as we can keep this decentralized manner, we'll keep the community. And if we can keep the community, it makes it profitable for validators to run, meaning the blockchain's more secure. And by an instance of it being more secure, it means that, and what we mean by it is all nodes right now hold such a huge, 18.38% voting power. That is a huge amount of voting power. They could, they can change the odds. And then a couple of other validators on top of that can really, and it all just comes down to the top validators are pretty much having the say and sway anyway. Now we've got just over 1% voting power, which is absolutely amazing for a node as, we've not even been alive more than, I don't think it's been more than 2 weeks yet. So everyone kind of had this head start and we're doing so well. We've just made a vote on a spam proposal to make sure that it's showing up and everything, and it is. Everything's showing up and we're pretty much near full operation. The auto compounding is probably going to come around November time, at end of November. Same with the NFT project. We are literally, everything's ready. Like I said, we're nearly there. We're just doing all the fine tweaks, fine tuning, ensuring it's ready for launch and getting it all correctly allocated in the files, because Terra, the governance and everything like that actually has to mint the NFTs for us, which is absolutely awesome. And they're totally randomized. But this in itself, I feel, is a really good way to move forward. And like I said, I don't want to paint an X on my back. I don't want any of this money. I'm not interested in being a multi-signature signer, nor do I believe anybody should be a multi-signature signer of any kind of funds. And the reason those funds go into the dev pool would be just an absolute great idea, for the sheer fact is that we could figure out a proper system as to which we can actually make sure the funds are going to a correct place. And if we need to pay one person to do budgeting, then we need to pay one person to do budgeting and they get paid from, the dev pool. It's as simple as that. And in that way, the community pool allows for projects to flourish, for people to see on the outside, oh wow, look, they've got these funds, I've got this idea, I've got this great project, but I just don't have enough funding. Maybe the community will like my idea, maybe I can put it forward. And that's what we want to attract, because there's so many people out there, we want higher prices. Well, we need more utility use cases, and that's why I keep working with the ones that I work with and doing the things that I do, retweeting the things that I retweet, regardless of how many likes and stuff they get. And you just keep pushing onwards, because ultimately in the end they will prosper and they will do well because you've helped them. And then hopefully in turn, when the time comes and you start to see, oh look, these price movements are moving up around the time of Exodus really getting online, or when Metaglory is doing really well and everything's going full flow on there and people are using the faucet systems and stuff like that, it kind of goes back to when, right at the very beginning, when I said to you all about burning. Eventually we'll get to a point where burning will be so normal to you guys. We will have built a website. It will tell you everything you need to know about it. No one will ever need to go through money flow with you guys for you to see anything like that. And we'd make it really easy. And we've always done that here at HCC. And now being a validator opens up so many more doors to us. I'm seriously debating a token which only allows our people who delegate with us to vote on governance polls. And we can do it. It would obviously be a coin that has zero value, being a token. But we can do it, and it makes it an even better way because we don't, at HCC, we don't decide to vote ourselves. We don't choose what to vote, and I don't vote off of my personal opinion. We do the polls in the Telegram group, links to that in the description, and we ensure that the people who are delegates are getting, the best say and sway over things, because they're the ones who are, delegated with us. And once we figure out a fine-tuned system, we will get that in place. I'll try and leave a link to this in the description. I'm still figuring out our server thing for the node, but we do have a server where we can just upload whatever we want and you can just go and do it, kind of like same as how Lunkdao does stuff with his files. But I feel this is a really good idea. I know I've said that a few times, but I hope people kind of have a little think about this developers pool and give it some consideration. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know if you think this is a bad way to move forward, if it's possibly, a route that we could take and stuff like that. And I'll kind of gauge it off of that, and maybe, it could turn into a Agora text and then a proposal for the community to vote on. And, I've really written things very well in my Medium article about how I kind of feel about this. And this really does keep everything kind of how it should be, so to speak, but at the same time also taking consideration, care, and everything for our devs, and ensuring they've got funding and they stay with us. So folks, stay safe out there. I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, as you can see in the bottom left hand of the corner of the screen, even though I say it every single video. And just beware of scammers, doppelgangers, anybody pretending to be me, or the Happy Catty Crypto channel. I will never ever DM you first. You can get all the links to everything on my Twitter, and catch you in the next one.